Welcome everybody. Had a look at a Indicator limited edition release from 2022, and it is 1969's Putney Swope. So this is directed by Robert Downey Sr., who would obviously be the father to Robert Downey Jr. But I've not seen any other of his films so far, although hopefully that won't be the case for long. So this is a satirical comedy film, clocking in at 85 minutes long. The two cast members I've seen the most from in more recognisable roles would be the likes of Arnold Johnson, who was in the likes of Shaft and Menace to Society, and Antonio Vargas was in Shaft as well as other blaxploitation films like Foxy Brown, Across 110th Street, and Cleopatra Jones. So Swope, the only black man on the executive board of an advertising firm, is accidentally put in charge after the death of the chairman. So although the plot synopsis sounds quite basic and you could easily theorise about where such a plot would go, especially in a more mainstream kind of director and with a bigger budget, this definitely does go in a direction I wasn't expecting, as its comedy element is rather absurdist, mixed with the satirical element, but it is also crucially still funny and thematically weighty, as it properly lampoons the kind of advertising agencies at the time, as well as capitalism and racism as well. The cast is also good. It is well paced. The cinematography is on point. There are several laughs throughout. It doesn't outstay its welcome, and the fake advertisements are well put together. So the majority of the film is, by the way, in colour, but for the advertisements themselves, they are in vast majority of the film is in black and white, but the advertisements themselves are in colour to help set them apart and give them a more realistic look. So yeah, on the whole, it's a solid effort. It's a 4 out of 5 from me. Can't say I was expecting much either way, quite frankly, because my expectations weren't really there at all, to be honest. Because even though I saw the plot synopsis and the genre that it was in, quite frankly, I wasn't anticipating any kind of way that it was going to go. So yeah, on the whole, a solid effort. Now, apparently, this poster was quite controversial at the time. Kind of sort of see why, because that hand expression is obviously telling someone to go somewhere, and yeah, and yeah, it's got a woman in the main part, so I can see why it would have been controversial at the time. So there is the disc itself, and we also have reversible sleeve artwork with this release, which is a little bit more conventional and probably also more likely the way that that was released if it was to shown anywhere. And yeah, we also have a booklet with this release as well, which yeah is a little bit suggestive, to say the least. And then we have a behind the scenes shot as well with the director, Robert Downey Sr. And inside the booklet, you get your cast and your crew as per usual, but then you also get It's Up to You by Christina Newland from 2022. So, as it states here in the first paragraph, it's a bracing 85-minute slice of jagged satire, taking well-aimed potshots at the American power structure, racism, and capitalism. Putney Swope has a key place in cinema history as a searing entry to the counterculture movement, which was also popularized with lots of Easy Rider, and a landmark of independent filmmaking. What sometimes is less said about it is that over half a century later, it is still funny. And yeah, I definitely still got some laughs out of this, even though some elements didn't overly work for me. But I was never bored by this, just because I was entirely interested in the directions it was going to go. We also have shots from the film as well, as well as A High Point of Subversion by Richard Whitehall. So this is from 1969, so right around the time it was released. So this says, as a film embraced by the counterculture, Putney Swope attracted the attention of America's burgeoning underground press. In these extracts from a piece in the Los Angeles Free Press, Richard Whitehall examines Downey's career to date and situates Putney Swope in the tradition of American satire. And then we have an interview done by Jonas Mekas, who interviews Robert Downey. So Jonas Mekas was a key figure of New York's avant-garde filmmaking scene as a filmmaker himself, as co-founder of the Filmmakers Cooperative, the Filmmakers Cinematheque, and the Anthology Film Archives, as a writer for Film Culture and the Village Voice. And in this edition of his movie journal, column. For the latter, Macas, who had championed Downey's earlier films, butts head with the director of his new, more conventional release. I wouldn't say this is conventional at all, to be honest, but there we go. So that's quite a lengthy interview, that one. And then we also have critical response. David Wilson of the Monthly Film Bulletin took a negative view of the film's approach. So yeah, it wasn't well received. Apparently, the director went around multiple production companies and film companies that release films, and it was very hard for him to actually get this properly released. Although apparently he did eventually get it released in like New York, because an owner of several cinemas in that city ended up distributing it themselves. So he got it released in some regard, and considering the budget was only about 125,000, I think it was. Wouldn't have taken much to get that budget back, quite frankly. So yeah, in terms of the restoration that this has had, it was restored in 4K by the Academy Film Archive and the Film Foundation, with funding provided by the George Lucas Family Foundation. The restoration used the original picture negative, fine grain master, and TV/censored version magnetic sound master, and original optical track. So one thing I will say about this is that Robert Downey himself actually dubbed over the voice work of Arnold Johnson, because Arnold Johnson was apparently fluffing a lot of his lines, forgetting them here and there, and obviously with it being a low production budget film, they really didn't have time to be wasting on someone not being able to remember their lines. So they dubbed over his lines for this, which I guess works in a roundabout way, and it's kind of necessary. And in terms of extras on the disc, got the original mono audio commentary with writer-director Robert Downey from 2001, audio commentary with film critic and historian Sergio Mims from 2019, interview with Robert Downey from 2001, so that's 16-minute archival conversation with the filmmaker on the creation, reception, and influence of Putney Swope. Then we've got an interview with Gerald Kotz from 2019. That's a 20-minute audio recording of the cinematographer recalling his work on the film itself. Then we've got a film forum Q&A with Robert Downey from 2016, clocking in at 34 minutes long. So that's archival audio recording of the noted provocateur in conversation with Bruce Goldstein at the Film Forum in New York. Then we've got original theatrical trailer commentary from 2013. So that's a short critical appreciation by film producer Dan Ireland. Image gallery and new and improved English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. And this was in 2022 a UK premiere on Blu-ray, so I imagine it has had a release in like the US or something else at some other point. And it was a limited edition of 3,000 copies in the UK. So yeah, I actually got this as part of an out of print promotion that Indicator did a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, that's the main reason why I've been able to get this limited edition version, because otherwise I don't think I would have been able to get my hands on it. Certainly not for the original price that it was going for. So yeah, do apologise. My cat is once again shaking my camera base. So yeah, do apologise for that. But still, an overall solid film, well worth seeing if you're into your kind of counterculture films from the late 60s, early 70s. And yeah, I'm sure you'll get something out of it. I certainly did. Plenty of laughs, thematic weight, and yeah, it's certainly something that I wasn't expecting, which is only a good thing when it's doing it in a good way. And yeah, it did it in a good way in that, and then some. So yeah, get out there and see it if you haven't already. But if you have seen Putney Swope before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.